Be a beginner every morning. Embrace fresh starts. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here today because what we're about to discuss is something that has the power to completely shift the way you view your life, your challenges, and even your dreams. The idea is simple, yet deeply powerful. Be willing to be a beginner every single morning. At first, this might sound like just another inspirational quote, something you scroll past on social media. But when you truly take it in and live by it, it can transform everything about the way you grow, the way you handle failure, and the way you embrace the opportunities in front of you. Today, I want to take you on a journey into this idea. We're going to explore it through stories, through everyday examples, and through the lens of your own personal growth. By the end, I hope you'll not only feel motivated, but you'll feel ready to wake up tomorrow morning and look at the world with brand new eyes, as if life is offering you a fresh canvas to paint on. Think about the last time you tried something new. Maybe you picked up a musical instrument, or maybe you started a new job, or even something as simple as trying to cook a recipe you'd never made before. What did it feel like? Most likely, it felt awkward at first. Maybe your fingers didn't move the right way on the guitar strings. Maybe the new job felt overwhelming with so much to learn. Maybe the food didn't taste like the picture in the cookbook. But in those moments of trying, you were beginning. You were standing at the doorway of possibility. The only way you could ever improve, ever succeed, ever master that skill or role was by first allowing yourself to be a beginner. The problem is, too many of us resist that stage. We want to skip ahead to the part where we're already good, but life doesn't work like that. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master had to start from scratch. Every success story began with a first attempt. One of my favorite stories that shows this is about Michael Jordan. Today, he's remembered as one of the greatest basketball players in history. But did you know that in high school, he didn't even make the varsity basketball team the first time he tried out? He was crushed. He could have said, well, maybe basketball just isn't for me. He could have walked away. But instead, he allowed himself to be a beginner again. Every single morning, he got up, practiced, and played with the mindset of someone who was willing to learn, willing to fail, and willing to grow. That willingness to start again, even after rejection, became the foundation for his greatness. His story reminds us that we don't have to be perfect right away. We just have to be brave enough to start. And it's not just athletes. Think about entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs. When he started Apple, he was just a young man working out of a garage with an idea. He didn't know everything. He didn't have all the answers. He had to be willing to experiment, to learn, and to fail. In fact, he was even fired from the very company he founded. Can you imagine that? But instead of letting that be the end of the story, he allowed himself to start over, to begin again, and eventually he returned to Apple to transform it into one of the most innovative companies in the world. His story teaches us that sometimes life will push us back to the beginner stage, and instead of seeing that as a punishment, we can see it as an invitation to reinvent ourselves. Now let's bring it closer to home. Imagine you've been stuck in a routine. Maybe you've been in the same job for years, or maybe you've been holding on to old habits or old ways of thinking. Every day starts to feel the same. It's easy to get comfortable, but deep down, you know you're not growing. That's when this idea of being a beginner every single morning becomes so powerful. What if you woke up tomorrow and looked at your life as if you'd never seen it before? What if you approached your work, your relationships, your dreams with the curiosity and excitement of someone just starting out? Suddenly, instead of being stuck, you're learning again. You're alive again. I remember when I first started public speaking. The first time I stepped in front of a group of people to share my thoughts, I was terrified. My hands shook, my voice cracked, and I stumbled over my words. Part of me wanted to quit and never try again, but something inside whispered, be willing to be a beginner. So I tried again, and again, and again. Each time I grew a little bit stronger, a little bit more confident. And now, years later, speaking to people and sharing messages like this one has become one of my greatest passions. But it all started with those shaky first steps. those moments of being a beginner. That's why I believe so strongly in this idea. Being a beginner is not about weakness. It's about courage. It's about humility. It's about knowing that every day gives us a chance to learn something new, to improve, to take one more step forward. Too often, we let fear stop us. We think, what if I fail? What if I look silly? What if people judge me? But here's the truth. Failure is just part of the process. Every failure is a lesson. Every stumble is a step forward. If you're not willing to look foolish for a while, you'll never get to the place where you shine. The people you admire most, the athletes, the artists, the leaders, they've all been through that awkward beginner stage. They just didn't let it stop them. Let's take another example, J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before her books became a worldwide phenomenon, she was a struggling single mother, rejected by publisher after publisher. She faced so many obstacles, but she didn't give up. She kept writing, kept submitting, kept beginning again after every rejection. Imagine if she had decided that being a beginner wasn't worth it, that the rejection was too painful. We would have never had the magical world of Harry Potter that inspired millions around the globe. Her story shows us that the beginner stage is not something to be ashamed of. It's the birthplace of greatness. Now, I want you to think about your own life. Where have you been afraid to be a beginner? Maybe you've been dreaming about starting a business, but you keep telling yourself you don't know enough. Maybe you want to learn a new language, but you're embarrassed that you'll mispronounce words. Maybe you want to get healthier, but you feel overwhelmed by the journey. Let me tell you this. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. You need to wake up each day willing to take that first step again and again. That's how progress is made. The beautiful thing about life is that every morning truly is a new chance. The sunrise itself is a reminder that yesterday is gone, and today is a blank page. You don't have to carry the weight of past failures into today. You don't have to be trapped by who you were yesterday. You get to begin again. That is a gift, and too often we take it for granted. Instead of waking up dreading the day, what if you woke up with gratitude, with curiosity, with the mindset of a beginner? What if you saw every challenge not as a threat, but as a teacher? That shift in perspective can change everything. Let me share one more story, this time about someone you might not know. A friend of mine decided in his 40s that he wanted to run a marathon. He had never been much of an athlete before. In fact, he had spent most of his life sitting behind a desk. At first, even running a mile felt impossible. He was out of breath, his legs hurt, and he felt embarrassed. But instead of quitting, he reminded himself to be a beginner. Every day, he ran just a little more. Every day, he learned something new about his body, about his limits, and about his determination. Months later, he crossed the finish line of his first marathon. He didn't just achieve a goal, he transformed his entire outlook on life. He learned that it's never too late to start over, never too late to dream again. So my message to you is this: don't be afraid of the beginner stage. Embrace it, celebrate it, because that is where growth lives. That is where transformation happens. Every morning you wake up is another chance to start fresh. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to learn, willing to try, willing to begin. And as you move forward, remember this: the people who achieve the most in life are not those who never fail. They are the ones who never stopped starting again. They are the ones who woke up each morning with the courage to be beginners, no matter how many times they had fallen before. That can be you. Starting tomorrow morning, look at your life with fresh eyes. See the opportunities in front of you. Take the first step and then the next. Trust that each day you begin again, you are building something extraordinary. Thank you so much for joining me today and for being part of this journey. If this message inspired you, if it reminded you that it's okay to be a beginner, then I invite you to carry that mindset into tomorrow and every day after. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more motivational videos just like this one. Together, let's keep growing, keep learning. and keep beginning again. Because life is too precious to stay the same. We were made to evolve, to rise, and to shine. Until next time, remember, every morning is a new beginning, and you are brave enough to start.